So hello everyone. So guys, we are back with our interview live series, and as promised, we'll be traveling up with all kind of law school journey and how it happened. So this is the second law interview series, and we have a very special guest over here, and that's Charvi. So Charvi, before I give introduction about her, I'll just tell why we are starting with the series. Is because so many of my students, Charvi, I'll tell you the true reason. Okay, so many of the students were really confused, how this entire law school works, and they were really confused about, is law a very good profession or what, and what are the skills we should be having throughout a law school journey. So this was a constant amount of questions from my students. So as part of it, I was just thinking, who should I call? And then suddenly a quick thought came to my mind. It's like, okay, let me contact Charvi. So guys, before giving introduction about Charvi, so Charvi and I, we met in YCL, Youth Can Lead program. It's an initiative by MP Tejaswi Surya sir's office, and like that we met. We used to speak very regularly, and I used to get really inspired by her talks, the way she give points about any kind of legal topics we discuss or any kind of governance we discuss. She used to be very smart. And not only that, the second reason why I really wanted to invite her, because of we recently met in our finance minister, when Nirmala Sitharamanji, when she came to Bangalore, I and Chavi, that time we spoke more. And that day I got really engaged with what all conversation she spoke with me. And I asked her a question that time, like, Chavi, I am facing difficulty in learning law. So can you suggest me some kind of tips and all? So Chavi, you suggested me some tips, and I immediately came to my house. I wrote down all kind of important points, and then I started practicing. So there was great progression within myself. So this time I was just thinking, who should I call for my series? Then suddenly your picture came in my mind. Thank you so much, Charvi, for coming and telling about. Yeah, thank you. So Charvi, Charvi is a third year law student from PES College. And speaking about her, she has also been an associate editor of Indian Journal of Projects and Infrastructure and Energy Law. She's been part of it. And secondly, she has also been part of World Intellectual Property Organization as a young member, ADR young member. Presently, you're working as that, right, Charvi? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So present this tenure you've been working this particular month.
Yeah, it's a membership, so it's not month wise. It's just 6 months. It is as long as I want it to be. So yeah.
All right. And this one, and you have also been part of a research assistant under Professor Atul Alexander, and then delegate at Harvard Project for Asian and International Relations. Right. So thank you, Charvi. I'm really happy for having you.
Thank you so much, Pawan.
Okay. Charvi, before we start, like, how is it? How is everything going on?
It's all going good. I have my vacations now. It's an internship break, not really vacation. But I just sort of taking one internship out of the 2 months. So yeah, I'll be interning in the month of July. So right now I'm free. So
okay. So
just
2 months.
enjoying the
2 months vacation.
2 months.
Oh,
Yeah.
2 months vacation. Oh wow! Like our colleges, we have just 1 month leave. But yeah, it's nice.
No, but this is a year break, not a sem break. So we don't get a semester break holidays after each semester.
After each semester. So it's for you also, it's semester, but they don't give you vacation during the break.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then now presently you are in your 6th semester.
Yeah, I finished my 6th semester.
So 7th.
Stepping into 7th.
7th. That means you're going to be a part of 4th year, right?
Yeah.
All right. That's so nice. So, Charvi, I would like to know your journey. Tell me about your journey about law school. Like, how do you feel like, turning back in your 3 years ka journey, considering 33 years is done now. How do you feel these 3 years as? Like, did it pass out very quickly, or what knowledge did you learn?
So before joining law school, like any other student, even I had like very big plans of, first year I'll intern in place A, second year I'll intern in place B, and third year I'll go to Delhi, and like I had a very proper plan. But it is very good to have a plan. I'm not at all, condemning that, but sometimes you'll also have to go with the flow, right? Because it did go by really quickly the past 3 years, mainly because of the pandemic, which was it's still going on. It's not yet over.
Yeah.
So the online and offline and having just online internships, everything. So it did go way faster than I anticipated. And during such times, even the college can't really help you a lot when it comes to your law school activities, like be it paper publications, be it internships, whatever it is. So sometimes you're just on your own and you'll have to figure it out as to how you're going to make use of your time. Because obviously when we used to have online classes, we had a lot of time in our hand, right?
Correct.
So we just had to attend a few hours of classes and the whole day you were free. So it did go by very quickly. but it was a very interesting journey because I was able to help myself, and I did not have to completely depend on my college. So I learned a lot exploring and working at the same time. So it was interesting.
Oh, that's nice. So Charvi, actually, to be honest, so like in this online period, actually, we all come under this online batch. So what do you do during this online time? For example, I think you had mostly 4 hours class every day, 4 to 5 hours,
Yeah, we
and
had 6 subjects, so six
six
hours.
six
But
hours.
yeah.
After that, what you used to do? Like you do internship,
So
you know? Hmm.
yeah, I did intern in a few places during that time. I undertook research assistantship
Hmm.
under a few professors because I plan on doing my master's after my undergrad.
Okay.
So it becomes important for you to involve yourself in academia and not just solely internships. So that is why I looked into a few of the research assistant opportunities, and I was a research assistant under two. One was a professor, and the other one was an ADR uh, lawyer.
Hmm.
So it was nice. So I did that, and mainly what I did was I wrote a lot of articles and papers, and I got them published because you don't have to depend on anyone else to give you tasks
Exactly.
when you are writing on your own. So you just read. If you find a topic interesting, or if you think that you have an opinion on that, you can just start writing and submitting it. It'll improve your analytical skills. It'll improve your research skills. It'll improve your current affairs, and you can also add it to your CV. So that is what I mainly did. I was a content writer as well in one of the blogs.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I did. I studied a little.
Mm.
I tried to study a little. So yeah.
That's great. Yeah, actually, most of the time, like most of the students used to waste their time during online period. You utilized it for the best. Good. That is a very good initiative. I think my own students can get this as a positive remark. Even though it's a pandemic, you could take it as an excuse, but you took it in a positive manner. No? That itself is a great inspiration. Good. Yeah. So Charvi, like can you tell me who has inspired you to take law, and why did you choose law?
Okay. I mean, I'm a first gen lawyer in my house.
Okay.
My great grandfather was a lawyer,
Okay.
but obviously he did not have a lot of impact on why I chose law because we've never interacted before.
Mm.
But there is no one particular person that I look up to as a role model per se, be it for law or be it otherwise
Mhm.
in general. But one of the fundamental reasons why I took up law was simply because I just feel like law is a. I mean, I don't know if other law students also say this, but this is what I have always believed in. That law is a social engineering tool, right? It'll help you balance the rights and the wrongs. It keeps each other accountable for the actions. It ensures that there is harmony in the society and there is civic responsibility in the society. So that is the main reason why I took up law, in order to be a part of the entire social engineering system. So I'll just give you an analogy. Just like how the soldiers protect the country from other enemies, we protect the society from social evils. So that is an analogy that I've drawn when I was, I think, in eighth grade or something. So yeah, it was in seventh and eighth grade that I decided I wanted to do law. So yeah, that's about it.
Oh, okay. Okay, Charvi. So Charvi, moving ahead with like this is a very good concept you said about this one, no? Like after looking into it. Okay. So do you have any particular plan that after your fifth year, what you want to choose?
Yeah, after my fifth year, I definitely want to do my master's.
Mhm.
Although doing masters isn't really essential for all lawyers. If you want to practice, you can directly join because we would have already spent 5 years
5 years.
in the law education. But if you want to get into teaching or research or anything of that sort, then LLM will really take you a very far way.
Mhm.
But the main reason I want to do LLM is that I want to have a sense of direction towards one particular field. I just don't want to keep figuring out even after 10 years that I'm in the field, I'm working, but I'm not really sure if I like it or not. So which is why I wanted to streamline my options, and also to get an exposure to the foreign education system. So I want to do my masters abroad. So yeah, that's about it.
Okay. So Charvi, like, would you like to suggest some do's and don'ts in law school? Like being, for example, being a fresh budding law student, like for example, some people, like I'm a fresh budding law student, because I am a first generation lawyer like you. Now we didn't get a proper amount of guidance or suggestion, because immediately when I came to my law college, I was like a new budding bee, and it was even online era, so we do not know who to ask. We have been really suffocating, like who should we go ask help, and like we'll be having so much chaotic questions. I think once I met you, even I got a clarity. I used to ask the same questions even during YCL period. So normally in that
Yeah.
period when I asked you, I got okay, I got some kind of clarity and some kind of calmingness. Okay, some person is there with me. So yeah, could you please tell my audience or my students about what are the do's and don'ts in law school, and is there any particular demerits do we feel that being a part of the first generation lawyer, like how we supposed to overcome it?
Okay. So, see, there are no strict do's and don'ts per se, because what has worked for me may not work for you, and what has worked for you may not work for me. Right? So, it's very subjective. But what I insist on is that each one of us have to find a forte in law school, something that will keep you going throughout the 5 years. For me, it was writing, right? I write a lot, I publish my articles. So, it could be moot court competitions for some people, it could be internships for a few others. So you need to know what you would like to do. And see, why I chose writing was, I used to always write. Even way back in school, I used to participate in all these essay writing competitions and debate competitions, basically wherever you can share your opinions. So I just found that part interesting, and that is why I chose that. So if not writing, if let's say if someone loves public speaking, they can definitely go for things like moot court competitions. Although it is a lot of work, you have to work throughout the 5 years. What I And the other thing that you must do is have a LinkedIn account, because it will really expose you to the world out there, what people are doing, the opportunities available, how you can improve, etc. Even you can even do a lot of online courses as well. There are a lot of opportunities out there. So anything that helps you grow and anything that you like, basically, don't do it just because someone else is doing, because it won't take you anywhere.
Okay.
So just do it if you think that it will be useful for you and if you like it, right? What I don't suggest you do is becoming prey to peer pressure. Especially, I'm not talking about what happens inside your class, because you may or may not overcome that. That is secondary. But LinkedIn, while it is very very important for you to have a LinkedIn account in order to stay connected, it's also a very big menace when it comes to the hustle culture, right? Everybody is doing something every day. You just refresh your feed and you see someone has gotten into trilegal, someone's gotten into Khaitan, someone's gotten into Cambridge. So you shouldn't let that affect you, right? Just because person A is doing 100 things doesn't mean that that person has figured everything out. I myself was in that position, right? You just do everything to figure out what is best for you. That is what I did, because first year again, I had no guidance, I had no support, I had no orientation about internships or online courses. So I did my course, I did my online courses, I wrote articles. I did not even think, if it was worth the publication or not. I just did everything that I could do. Only then I streamlined. So it is very natural for all of us to feel that way. Whenever we see someone put up a certificate, we're like, oh shit, we're not doing. Am I allowed to use that word?
Yeah, sure, you can use it. It's fine, totally fine.
Okay. Oh God, I'm not able to do as much as the other person. So you start working hard. It's not about how much you work, it's about how you work. So you need to know what you want to do and you need to work towards that. So other than that, you can do and not do whatever you want to do, because only if you make mistakes will you learn, right? So there is no a fixed mantra per se. But this is what I learned through in the past 3 years. Maybe it will change in the next 2 years. You never know. But yeah, that's about it.
Charvi, this is true. Yeah, exactly true. I'm 100% able to relate to this. Okay. See, like normally when we come to this law school, we'll see all our colleagues, all our batchmates, everyone, they're doing one other thing. So at one point of time, we'll also feel inferior. Or sometimes we might feel superior, but that chaos always lies in our head. So when you're telling me, I was like so much able to relate it. And I've seen that many of my students, Charvi, being an interview specialist also, I've trained many students, interviewed with many students. I think this was one of the major concern. And when you bought that context of doing whatever is possible in your own way, that really matters. Yeah. So Charvi, here moves to my next question. So Charvi, you said that you're very good in write, especially in terms of publishing articles. I've seen it, And so Charvi, I've seen many of my students. Some students are from even from rural background, okay, rural areas. They have chosen up law. They are placed in different good NLUs or different kind of good private institution. But when it comes to writing, they face a lot of difficulty. Yeah. So as a beginner, how do you suggest them? Like any kind of tips would you like to suggest to them? And even in terms of speaking, because they face a lot of confusions while speaking, and especially are if you observe a normal Hindu paper, it's like a journalistic writing. It's not like a normal English, right? The more we try to go understand a normal person, like first time when you're reading, you won't understand, especially the editorial part and all. So how do you suggest as a beginner for them to progress?
Um, so I have always, I mean, I was born and brought up in Bangalore, which is a very, very urbanized city, and I was always given education in English medium. So I will not be the best person to talk about how you can accustom yourself from your mother tongue to English and how you can articulate better, because I have been accustomed to it since a very young age. But what I say is, like, how all of our English teachers in our schools would just say reading. So you have to read, you have to read, you have to read. So yeah, you have to read. And and it's not just, you don't have to read something very complicated. You have so many websites online, right? You have your very basic IP leaders, latest laws, legal bites, etc., and even Legal Services India for that matter, where people write in very simple English,
Yeah.
in the simplest English possible, and they're all students. They're not lawyers yet. They're just like you and me. So
Which
you just
websites?
need
Could you repeat once again?
Legal Services India,
Okay.
Legal Bites,
Okay.
latest laws, and IP leaders.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So these are websites which are made for students by students. You write, you publish, you read, you understand, you conduct your research, etc. So you can read on these platforms. And now, to talk about how to write, it's relatively simple, but again, it's a skill, right? Not everybody can do it, which is okay, because now I am not. I can speak, but I'm not very interested into moting, because I don't see myself as a practicing lawyer in quotes.
Exactly.
I see myself more of a, like a teacher, or doing my masters, etc. So again, you'll have to, if you're really good at how you talk, if you can, it doesn't matter in which language, because if you're going to practice in the states you come from, or even in Karnataka, you have to know the mother tongue.
Correct.
Right? You have to know Kannada if you want to practice in any of the courts in Karnataka. So again, there is no need for you to fit into the traditional English speaking, the drive towards that. But in order for you to catch up during law school, reading really helps. And if you're really interested in writing, you just have to read some. Let's say you want to write about. I don't know, something about lease and mortgages. You just have to go through your Bear Act, understand that, read more articles, and then make a layout, make a draft as to what all you want to cover in your article, and then make sub points under each one of that, and then you can just start writing, even like 100 words or 150 words under each subheading. Let's say you have 10 subheadings, right? It'll automatically lead you to having 1,500 words.
Exactly.
That is only if you limit yourself to 150 words, which, trust me, you can't, because it's law, and law is all about just elaborating the same thing over and over again. Now, again, it need not be too technical. You can even give very, very basic examples in your articles, like, I don't know, person A sold a motorcycle to person B for a consideration of 50,000 rupees. Now you have your consideration, you have your object, you have your, promise and acceptance offer, etc. Now this is what your essentials of a contract is. So if you just break down your essentials of a contract, and if you start writing just 150 words under each also, you have a beautiful article which is ready for you to understand the concept, as well as for others to understand the concept. So yeah, just start small. Just don't directly aim, expect NLS journals to publish your articles, because it's too far an aim. It's definitely possible on a later date, but when you're starting off, look at websites like what I mentioned earlier. So that will really help you out.
Okay, sir. So, Charvi, just to quickly sum up on this one, because it's a very important point we just said. Like, if you want to start with a research paper or as an article, start reading first barracks. Second one is go through the articles, previous written articles on that particular topic, then prepare subtopics, sub points or subtopics on it, and then try to elaborate on what is your interpretation, what you understood, try to elaborate on it, and then probably give a conclusion. This is how, right?
Yeah.
This is how you normally
Yeah.
follow. Okay, this is a very important point because majority of us had this, even I had this common doubt regarding this research paper. So should we start with very complex topics, or like what kind of topics should we start at the initial stages? Something basic or creamy layer?
Yeah, now see, for example, like again, like I said, there is no one single rule.
Yeah, okay.
This was just an example that I gave, but most of the articles, what makes your article publishing worthy is you adding in something that you want to add, right? Something extra that is not already existing in the online domain or offline if you want to publish it in ISBN books. So now, so you need to add something of your own in your articles. So it's not just, okay, I'll just read section 10 of the Contract Act and elaborate. Now, let's say I did read section 10, but I also realize that these contracts or the essentials of a contract given under section 10 of the Indian Contract Act 1872 is not at par with today's online e-commerce websites, which basically are all about, click grab contracts. Basically, you just say that you agree to the terms and conditions. You don't even read. 99% of the people don't read, and you're bound by the contract even without reading it. So it's a unilateral contract, not a bilateral contract like the other contracts that we learn under the act. So now this is a lacuna that I found. So I will write about it, right? And when you're trying to read, don't read only from when you want to write. That is, when you're trying to conduct your when you want to read, you can definitely read from all your eye pleaders, etc. But when you want to research, you need to study. You can't just read. You need to study from journals abroad as well as in Indian universities. NLS journals are really good, and you have your Sage publications. You have your Cambridge, Oxford, etc. So yeah, those, and you have your Hine Online, SCC, Manupatra, everything. So go through such credible websites when you want to research and write about it, and always ensure that you add your perspective to it, which is not already existing out there. Because if you just interpret the Bare Act, then there is no how is Article A different from Article B? You can't really find out. Right, so start small. Definitely, if you just want to explain a concept, go ahead with that. But if you really want to investigate into a particular topic, again, it'll just randomly come to your mind, because that's what happened to me. It's not like I was just I just kept studying and I found something. It's not at all like that. I was just watching TV one day and I just realized that how are we making contract? I mean, how are we entering into contracts on your Amazon or Flipkart, etc., without even reading it? Or, for example, your Sale of Goods Act, basically. Most first year students would have studied your Sale of Goods Act. So, your Sale of Goods Act does not really talk about online goods at all. Now, here we return it very easily, but can you do it in when you bind it by Sale of Goods Act? Can you do it? No, because your inspection, etc., is completely different. Delivery of goods, constructive, actual, and so many other things. So is your law really practical or not? That's a very pertinent question that you can ask for any topic, be it need not be just your Sale of Goods Act. It can be anything that where you apply it. Now, let's say lease, right? Now you have your lease agreements, your rental agreements, etc. But now we know that there are so many people who do not have access to education, who do not have access to even literacy, for that matter. So how do they? But they also are living their lives, right? They're also living on rent. They're also taking their houses on lease. Our house helps, for that matter. So how exactly are they entering into a lease agreement? Are they even entering into a lease agreement? That is a very important question. So how do you ensure that all of this ties up, and how do you ensure that all of this is in tandem with the law in place? It's very difficult, because most of the laws are just in the books. You can't really implement it to its fullest potential to all the sects of the society. So yeah, these are a few questions that you can think about, and it just randomly pops in your head. There was this one instance where I just wrote about the axis of transgenders in the criminal sexual offences laws,
Okay.
be it IPC, be it POXO, be it POSH, etc. So you just get these random ideas. When you get such an idea, and if you really think that you're drawn towards it, just note it down and work on it whenever you get time. So yeah.
Okay. And even our solution thinking ability will also be increased up, randomly, like when you
Yeah.
post out such kind of questions, answers, it randomly increases. Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
very good idea. So now moving ahead with the next question. So Charvi, like how, like the importance of internship in the law school. Yeah, that is a very important question because I remember, okay, my jurisprudence teacher. Okay, so she was teaching, and middle of the teaching of middle of the class, she was like very serious. Okay, she was like, you people don't study like this, then your life is going to be like the hell like that. She used to tell this constant thing. Okay, so after, like, we used to write down her notes and all that. After that was done, after a few minutes, she was taking roundings in the class, like normal informal conversation she was having. So then I asked ma'am, Kim, hi ma'am, how are you? You're from which place? Normal conversation. Then I asked ma'am, like, ma'am, could you just tell me, like, what all we are studying now? How impactful is it going to be once we once we go work out in the corporate field or in the litigation field? So she was like, Pawan, what all you study now, it is just one part of it, and nothing else is going to really come in your real this one. Here I'm just telling it's because because you should have that compulsion to study, or else you people will not study. But in the real world, it's really different. And I feel that in order to bridge that gap, internship plays a very important role. So Charvi, I would like to hear from you, like, as you have done very many internships, can you tell students about what is the importance of internship and why internship is important to understand which career path is good for us?
Yeah, so first of all, I haven't done a lot of
No,
internships. I've
in
just
our
done.
level we have done, yeah, like for example in this 3 years which we need to do, we have done, right? That is spark. Yeah.
Yeah. So, see, first of all, internships are compulsory by BCI. So, you have to do it, you like it or not. You need 20 weeks of internship in total, and it shouldn't clash with your academic calendar.
Yeah.
So, even if you do, like, let's say 40 internships, which you can't do, but if in case you manage to do 40 internships throughout the 5 years, only the ones that you've done during your internship break, that is what is counted by BCI. But does it mean that you should stop interning? Definitely not, because it doesn't matter if BCI considers it or not. It will definitely add to your experience, to your understanding of the law in practice, etc. Now, how do you choose your internships? How I chose my internship was basically I had no clue that first of all there was a lot of confusion in my first year ending. If we would have our exams then or our internship break, so there was a lot of confusion. So what I did was I just joined a blog. That is where I started writing. Right. So whatever you learn from whatever you pick up from your internship, don't finish it by on your 30th day or on your 21st day. Continue it. Whatever you try, whatever you acquire, be it drafting skills. Once let's say I was interning under an advocate and I learned how to draft. Now there are so many websites like Upwork, etc., where you can freelance, where you can earn money also. So if you have the time, definitely go ahead and start drafting for others as well. You can even earn your money from that. And yeah, which is good for you. And so I started writing and I continued writing. And then I joined another journal now so that I can explore other options. So that is something that I like to tell you. It's very important to do your internships, but again, internships is not everything. There is so much more that a law school can offer you. So you need to, like I said, figure out what you want to do, because a lot of people can't. It's not that easy for you to get an internship in the first place. Second of all, it's very, very hectic. Now, the college I come from, we have a pretty tight schedule, right? So I can't finish my classes, then run to my internship place and then intern there until 9 o'clock. Your family might not let you come back home that late, especially for women. And there are so many things that will come in between, right? So it's not mandatory for you to intern while you're studying in the like during your academic calendar, but definitely go for internships in your internship break. It will really help you. Now I haven't done a single offline internship because of the pandemic. uh, Hopefully in July, I'll have my first offline internship at Schneider Electric, which is a French MNC. So I got in for the in-house legal department there. So yeah, so that will be something related to corporate law, right? Now, how did I end up with that? Is now in each semester I have 6 subjects.
Okay.
Now, this time I had IPR, I had environmental law, I had company law, I had CPC, and I had another subject that I can't remember now. But yeah, out of all of this, environmental law was never on my agenda, so I eliminated that. Now, CPC and CRPC again, I wasn't able to concentrate a lot on the subject per se when I was studying, so it wasn't wise for me. And like I said earlier, I'm looking for masters, so learning CPC and CRPC in practice right now is not very practical for me, right? But at the same time, getting experience in something like corporate law or IPR will help me in my admissions further when I want to apply abroad. So that is the reason, because you can't really study CPC and CRPC when you're studying in a foreign university. They won't teach you that.
Correct.
But they'll teach you something related to corporate or IPR, whatever you choose. So that is why I did not get into the procedural law. So each semester, or basically because I can only do it once a year, I try to push in 2 internships, but this time I was a little. I had to attend a few trips outside of Bangalore, so I couldn't really intern in this month. But yeah, I eliminate. So that is the way I choose my internships. Now, last year I had already interned with an IPR firm called Edifice Councils. So I have some fair idea of IPR, and I've also studied IPR this semester. So it's done, right? Now I'll move on to company law or corporate law. So I studied corporate law. Now I'll intern. I'll figure out if I like it or not, and then I'll move on to the next semester. What that has to offer. Now you can't keep moving on from semester to semester. You need to streamline. So yeah, the first year I did a blog internship just because I was supposed to do, and it was very last minute. But next year I did it in an IPR form, and I found it really interesting, and I'm considering it for my master's as well right now. Now, corporate law, I really found my classes very interesting. So I have streamlined my options to corporate law and IPR. Along with this, I've done a few courses as well on Coursera, etc. Now, see, people might tell you that it is not worth it. They just take money, etc. But if you want to do it, please go ahead and do it. If you can afford it, if you want to do it, if you have the time, please do it. Like, nobody can tell you what is worth it or what is not worth it, because they themselves are still studying, right? Exactly. They're also students. So it might have not worked for them, but that doesn't mean they stop you from utilizing the resources there. So now I did a few courses on intellectual property rights. Seems very interesting to me right now, but I also feel it a little exhaustive when it comes to the syllabus offered by my university right now. So, which is why I'm moving towards corporate. But yeah, I have my options down to 2 or 3 things, and I'll continue from there. But from a very young age, I've been very interested in stock market and investments, etc. So securities and investment law, along with mergers and acquisitions under corporate law, is something that I'm looking forward to for my masters, etc. So yeah, that is how you can streamline your internships as well. The first 2 years, you can definitely explore all you want, as much as you want, because it's important. Now, people might again tell you that diverse CVs are not useful. I found it very enriching for me personally. It's not about what others think of your CV. It's about how much you have gained over the past few years through your experience, be it good or bad. Only if you've had bad experiences will you be able to eliminate it and move towards something better. Correct. So yeah, I did explore all of my options. I did international law. I did ADR. I did IPR. I did social. Basically, I interned in this organization called Goons, which is an NGO. And I also did Youth Can Lead, which is all about policy, public policy, and civic responsibility. So, yeah, these were all very interesting. But streaming it down to one thing is very essential once you step into your third year. And so that you can concentrate on that from your third year, fourth year, and your fifth year. So, yeah, and now again, don't go by tiers. Because there are so many law firms within. Now, tiers again, if you're going to go by legal 500s criteria of ranking, most of your, even the best of forms, like let's say CV Ram, sorry, not CV Ram, CV Nagesh,
Charvi,
yeah,
before we move to the tier, no, can you explain our audience what is this tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 companies? Because they are hearing it for the first time. So, yes.
yeah, sure. So now tier one, tier two, tier. So basically, let's say it's a hierarchy. Okay, it's as simple as that. You have your now. How did you choose your universities? You'll have your best universities. You'll have your second best universities, and you'll have your third best universities.
Exactly.
Similarly, it is the same in every field, including law. Now, again, random people can rank a law firm, but so you need to know where exactly to find your source from, which is legal 500. So it's basically like how you have your Fortune 500 of your top 500 companies functioning in Nasdaq and NSE, etc. That is what even legal 500 does. It will analyze the business that you've had over the past year, your firm has had over the past year, and it will rank you. Now again, legal 500 also, your all India firms, like pan India firms, are usually ranked tier 1. Your state, or let's say if it's in one state or in two states, it'll be in your tier 3 or something. And your tier 4, even though, now exactly what I said, now if you're very interested in litigation, then tiers don't matter at all.
Correct.
Because CV Nagesh, advocate CV Nagesh, for example, is a genius in criminal law, and in all of his, and he's had brilliant practice. But he's only limited to Karnataka. Like his office is only limited to Karnataka, and they mainly function in Karnataka. They definitely will have cases in other states as well, but they don't have their offices per se, right? So they were ranked in tier 4 or something, but no way. I mean, they may be ranked at tier 4, but if you want to really learn from someone like that, then tier doesn't matter, and they definitely don't belong in tier 4. But that is how there needs to be some sort of objective standardization when it comes to such classification, right? So that is why legal 500 takes certain things like your business, your place of operation, etc. But that shouldn't stop you from interning wherever you want to be. You can base it on how close it is to your house, how the kind of work they do, anything. Now again, even in your tier 1 firms, it is subdivided into different categories that they practice in. Now Khaitan might be very good at Khaitan Mumbai may be very good at intellectual property, but Khaitan Bangalore may not be as good as Khaitan Mumbai. So just because it's Khaitan and Co doesn't mean that Khaitan and Co across all practices and across all offices have the same ranking. So even that is given in your legal 500, like the website. But trust me, you can learn from anybody and anything.
Correct. Yeah.
So definitely, if you want to streamline your internships, you can definitely try, but be wise, right? Just don't apply just for the sake of the tier that has been given to them.
Correct.
So you can learn from a very small lawyer. You can learn from a person who's just studied law and has not practiced it at all, because everybody will have their own set of lessons to share. To learn it or not is left to you. To accept it or not is left to you. So yeah, and in most of these very top leading firms, like I haven't interned offline, but what I have heard is that you are not really given a lot of work, right? Because you're only asked to just run around, get the file from the files room, or get something else from somewhere else. So you're not really given actual law work. So if you intern in a smaller place, for that matter, there'll be a lot more work that they can give you. So it's not about the size, it's not about the name. If you get it there, amazing, nothing like it. But if you don't get in such places, please don't be disheartened, because there there is nothing to lose. That is what I say. Like if you're at level 0, maybe if you interned at Khaitan, you might have gone to level 2. But if you've interned at a local firm, you'll definitely be at level 1. So you're not going down anyways. You're just stepping up, maybe a little slower than the others, but you're definitely learning something. So yeah.
That's very important point here, because all that you said, no, because we had a very wrong assumption regarding internship, and like we had so much chaotic question. I think you really structured and narrowed it down very simple manner. And this is the only way, like after we get a clarity, after fifth year, we get a proper direction, which is good field for me, which is not good field for me. You highlight about elimination method, right? That is very good. Even in terms of internship, or even once we get an exposure in all particular field. For example, you said that you did in terms of, you said that you're not much interested in terms of speaking, but you like writing a lot. You don't like that much moting, but yes, you like this one. So that you came to a conclusion by the help of internship or by your practical exposure, which you want to explore in all the fields. And by the fifth year also, we'll be able to narrow it down exactly by this clear cut picture. So my audience got really huge insights. So Charvi, moving to my next important question. So Charvi, like, after we complete a 12th grade, we'll enter into this law world. So until 12th grade, we'll be having all this ready-made guides into our hands. We'll be having all spoon-fed by our teachers. But as soon as we enter into this law world, it'll be very much chaotic. So can you suggest some basic tips on my students, how they can start studying, or general, or like how you can basically start studying this law field, especially in this
Yeah.
law field? Yeah.
Yeah. So what really helped me was reading Bear Acts. Right? Bear Acts are very, very important. You like it or not, of course, the language is way too complex, but which is why you also have your textbooks to supplement that. Like,
Right.
for example, Avtar Singh and all of the like if you've entered law school, you'll definitely know these names.
Correct.
So you have to study. That is all I can tell you. There is no one-stop destination for everything. If you think that your textbook language is too hard for you to understand, go through articles again, like I said, online, which have been written by other students as to what all they've understood. Learn case laws. Definitely, you have to know at least one case, one landmark judgment for one topic under one Bear Act. So yeah, and explain things to yourself, not just to your friends or just through articles. Like, let's say you read something, if you've understood it or not, how do you understand, how do you come to a conclusion if you understood it to its best potential, is by explaining it to yourself. Use illustrations, not the illustrations given in the Bear Act, don't by heart it, but just understand if you're able to think spontaneously. Right now, the second I say explain essentials of a contract, it's not about section 10, it's about, do you know what goes in a contract? It's not about what is given under that. It's about how, let's say a transaction happens right in front of you, right? Will you be able to tell me if it is a contract or not? If it is voidable, void, ab initio, or valid? Will you be able to tell me that? So that only depends on how much you've understood it through examples. Make illustrations of your own. Yeah, so that will really help you. So that's a tip. Just read as much as you can. And stay connected with the world around you, not through current affairs, but like through what others are doing. You have to keep yourself updated, because that is the world that you're competing with. Yeah, definitely you compete with yourself to become a better version of yourself, yes, no doubt. But at the same time, it is them, right? We know it. We will have competition outside, and we need to be prepared for that. We need to acquire skills which are important. So you can even go through these profiles of really good students and see what has worked out for them. Like, there are a few really good students, objectively speaking, who have founded a journal, who have written a lot of articles, who've participated, who've gone to these summer schools. There are so many things. So one modes, a lot of things. So when you go through their profile and you see their work experience, you will understand what all you can also get in order to get a version of yourself such as that. So yeah, do your research online and offline. Talk to people. Talking is very important. Networking is very, very important. Not just within your field, even outside of your field. Only then you'll know how much you can improve or how much you've improved. So it works both ways.
So Charvi, you said about this Bear Act, no? So how do we start as a beginner? How should we start with Bear Act? And can you suggest some basic tips about this answer writing strategies while we are writing for exams? Because unlike other particular courses, our answer writing strategy is completely different. Because we cannot use like so much. I've seen some people using pointers or some people using this graph diagram. That is not possible for us. So as a beginner, as a first year student, like, could you suggest some answer writing tips and how should we start with Bear Acts and judgments? Yes.
Yeah, so your Bear Act start with section 2. You need to know your section 2 in and out in order for you to move ahead. right? So understand, I'm not asking you to by heart the entire interpretation clause, but you need to understand what is some, like, let's say, what is a decree. Without knowing what a decree is, how will you differ it from, how will you differentiate a decree from a judgment and an order?
Correct.
Only if you know what a decree is. So you need to just know the basics of everything given under section 2. And then yeah, just like it depends. See, different statutes have different schemes, right? Now your CPC, it has a lot of orders.
Correct.
No, I mean, I don't know if any other statute really has an order per se. But, and like, let's say your constitution, for that matter, Constitution of India, you have your fundamental rights, fundamental duties, DPSVs. It's very clearly divided. Constitution is beautifully drafted, but there are a few bare acts which are really very badly drafted. So you can just either go through it section by section, or you can go through it topic wise. It's up to you. It's completely up to you. Because again, like I said, a few barracks, they're not very well drafted. They just keep swinging back and forth from one topic to the other topic, which might confuse you. So when you're trying to study a topic from your an article or textbook, read that. Also read which section. Like, I'm pretty sure in every anything, any article or any textbook, any concept, it'll literally state that section 157 of this act talks about this, and they even like give you what it says verbatim. So interpret it word by word, right? When they say shall, it means shall. It does not mean. So it does not mean may. So you need to understand that, and yeah, go word by word. So it will help you. Now, answer writing, you need to have an introduction, body, conclusion. You have to have it, right? In your introduction, you have to talk about which section talks about that particular topic, or if it is not covered by any section, then just write what you have understood in the first 4 to 5 lines. Write a case law, write an illustration, then analyze what all, like, if there are different types under that, if there are different rights and liabilities, whatever it is, depends on each question. Analyze that in detail. Try to give examples for everything. See, first of all, we don't have enough time. That I'll tell you that.
Correct.
To because my first answer of every answer paper is beautiful. My last answer, I have written only points because I don't have time.
Okay.
But if you're a really fast writer, and if you can really analyze that, you have to analyze your answers. You can't, just, it's we're way past the whole 8th standard, 9th standard CBSE, ICSE method of teaching and learning and reproducing the same thing. You can't by heart and write the same thing. You need to add something of your own. Doesn't matter if your teacher gives you marks or not. It'll help you, right? So what really helped me in my answer writing was, again, article writing. Because I have analyzed concepts so much in the past that I have a scheme, I have a style of writing. And I can literally see the same pattern in my answers and in all of my articles. If you read all of my articles, you can see a consistent pattern. So you also need to have a pattern of your own. You don't have to write articles for that. You need to follow a format. Introduction, body, conclusion is a must. And keep a page limit. Because I tell you, it's not about you. It's not about how you write. It's definitely about how you write for you. But for the teacher, it's about the quantity, unfortunately. So it's like, okay, have you written 2 pages? It's 10 marks. You've just written 1 page. It's not enough. They don't even try to go through the whole answer most of the times. But because they've already read 36 papers, they're tired, right? They just need to
finish it
figure it out. Yeah, finish it up. So you need to understand your teacher for your answers, basically. Not from me, not from Pawan, not from anybody else. It only depends on what your teacher wants. So if your teacher is fine with like a 1-page writing, good for you. Do that. If your teacher is hell bent upon you having case laws, write that. So yeah, understand your teacher basically, and ask them what they want to see in their answer papers. So that will help you even study in the same way.
True, yeah. And people always used to tell that, like before you go for this litigation practices, in the field of litigation itself, for being an advocate, you have to understand your judge's mind. Once,
Yeah.
because every judge mentality is different. So as a law student, how will you start? You have to start understanding your teacher's mind first. Only by understanding your teacher's mind first, you'll be able to understand other person's mind very
Yeah.
quickly. So you have to, as a student, we should always have that important mentality. So
Yeah.
Charvi, here goes to my last question for you. Do you have any advice for young budding lawyers, or yeah, advice for this youth of this country? What advice would you like to share? Anything which you have been carried from very long period of time, or something who has taught you something from a very long period of time, something you would like to share to the world? What is it?
Yeah. So, we're in this age where we're very, very gullible, but we're also very clear. So it's a mix of both. We are exposed to everything, but at the same time, when it comes to making decisions, we don't think at all most of the times. So I think that is what is happening with the youth also today, including myself. You're exposed to everything, but again, when it comes to making decisions, you make the wrong ones. When you know that it might not be the right decision, you still do that. So I just tell you, make responsible decisions and stay accountable for the decisions you make. You can't, because we're old enough now, we are aware of the consequences of our actions. We can't just take a wrong decision, make a mistake, and just blame somebody else or blame the scenario for that. You need to take some sort of accountability for the actions that you've committed. You have to be ready for the consequences as well. So yeah, only if you're ready for the consequence, go ahead and take the decision. If you're not willing to accept the consequence, be it positive or negative, if you're afraid of taking decisions, then figure out a way to overcome that fear and go ahead. And I'll just tell you that you shouldn't let anything stop you, but at the same time, you need to have certain set of principles and morals that you always abide by, that will help you stay grounded. It's not for anyone to hop onto a moral high horse here, or for anybody else to moral police you, but for you to stay grounded through everything, through thick and thin. Be it, you might be a great student in your law school, or you might be a very bad student in your law school. You might be a great litigant or not. And things keep changing as you grow older. You might be very good at your relationships or not. It's different at different ages. So but there are a few things that will stay constantly with you, and I think those are the set of guiding principles or morals or whatever you would want to call it, which will help you discern what is something you want and what is something that you don't want in your life. So base your decisions upon that, be it no matter how small or big. It can even be, investment decisions where you put your money into. Now, if you're really willing to take up risks, you will go for the short term investments, your intraday trading, etc., where you can earn a lot of money, but at the same time, you can also lose a lot of money. You really don't know. Now, at the same time, it can be, but if you're not willing to take risks, you'll invest in something like mutual funds, which will go on for years and will give you a decent return. It won't give you as great a return as your uh, stock market, but it will give you good enough returns. So it completely depends on, like I said, the small things. Be it so this clearly shows your risk taking ability as well, right? In general, not just in terms of money, in terms of anything. So yeah, it's all about making informed choices and responsible decisions. So that is my uh, message to the youth, if you'd want to call it that.
Thank you, Charlie. That's true, yeah. If like no risk, no gain. That's the important philosophy. You take risk. You are willing to learn many things, but sometimes there are chances for you to lose. But still, you are carrying on with that legacy. But there'll be some kind of experiences for you, right? That is very much important. So I'm really grateful. Thank you, Charvi ji. I'm so blessed. And many students are really chaotic. Yeah, to be honest, there are no particular videos in YouTube or no particular videos in the social media platforms that speaks about importance of law school. How should we run in a law school? But after talking to you, actually, all these questions were actually running in my mind when I was a law student. I used to literally write down all these questions one by one. And today I'm so grateful that I was able to ask you. And these are the same kind of questions which are all our budding lawyers still have the same issues again and again. I think by watching this podcast, they'll get a clarity on how they have to sink in this law school ka journey. And so guys, whoever is watching this, guys, please do make sure that you just network with people, try to hear more kind of podcasts, not from mine, just my channel, or from any particular platform. Learn. Charlie used a beautiful term called as networking. Only by networking, only by exploring, we'll be able to become a great and successful lawyers. And that inculcating habit we should be keeping on budding ourselves. And Charvi, I'm really happy. Yeah. So, being an interview specialist as well as starting with this channel, I can read and my what my guests come mind, because I was there in your world this much time. So Charvi, speaking about you, yeah, very much clarity is there, so much confidence, so much, like when you're speaking also, so much experience you're being carried out. You're not like other students though, because Charvi, I've seen many of my seniors, but you're being very much unique. Even while giving up your point, you have that strong researching skills there with you. That's the reason your any kind of content, especially if you speak in our MP office about you itself, we have very good respect towards you, because every point you bring, it's so much logical, so much researched, and so much hardworking you are. I think this hunger will always take you to greater heights. I'm reading this from all my 3 years or 4 years experience. This one, great work, Charvi. I'm really grateful for coming to my channel.
Thanks so much.